Hello, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to Israel Doctrine Google Hangout. And this is part 2 of Guerrilla Hebrew on Israel Doctrine. Talk about Zion Lex and Shamahad ambush on the Messianic brothers, basically. Once again, as y'all know, sit down between Messianic and non-Messianic Hebrew Israelites. You know, I'm not one of them. But they sat down, they had a conversation talking about the New Testament, the Old Testament, the Hebrew language, the virgin birth, different topics and stuff. But they didn't have the main guy, Guerrilla Hebrew, at the table. This basically jumped off with Guerrilla making a video responding to the Isaiah 53 class that Zion Lex taught 2 weeks in a row, trying to say that, you know, that wasn't the Christ, the Messiah, the Mashiach. And so Guerrilla responded to it. LaRon G. Conscious responded to it, and I responded to it. I don't think Daniela, Hashar, nor Divine spoke to it, but they was the panel members, the Messianics that sat down and had a conversation with Zion Lex and those of his community, his Knesset or whatever. So truth be told, I did a video this morning dealing with a lot of it, playing some clips and excerpts from Guerrilla Hebrew and Zion Lex off of Sinetta TV, because this is where they chose to hold this back and forth dialogue. I don't think Zion Lex is built to go on with it. Guerrilla Hebrew has struck 2 or 3 times now. Zion spoke once, and he chose to do his thing with these brothers here instead of dealing with Guerrilla Hebrew and really hashing it out with him. I guess he think he's a attention seeker or something like that, but I don't see the brother as such. I see him as one dealing with matters that's going on in the community as a watchman supposed to, and blowing the trumpet on it, right? So we went live. He was asleep this morning. He done woke up. You know, the Guerrilla then woke up out of his napping phase, and he ready to go. So whenever he make it, he'll make it. But until then, as I said, you know, I believe it was an ambush. I post some pictures up on Facebook showing clearly that the non-Messianic had a ton of literature ready for war. I mean, it was just like putting guns up on the table and saying we just having a basic discussion, but don't mind the guns on the table, you know. And it ain't like Divine and Daniela and Hashar was not strapped, but they had one gun and they had rocket launchers and grenades and all kind of automatic weapons on the table in the sense of spiritual warfare, right? So I believe it was an ambush. I believe everyone that was involved know what it was, an ambush. And anybody in their righteous, so-called conscious mind out there should be able to understand that it was an ambush. But due to the fact that brothers want unity and want to bring the Hebrew Israelite community together, you know, compromises have to be made. And it was more on the Messianic side than the non-Messianic. I know they probably really wanted to tear into them because they felt they could, but they probably held back some punches. I would say that. Not to say those punches would have been effective, but you know, you can't just bring them into your house and slaughter them and think that other people will respect the fact that you slaughter someone in your household, you know, due to the fact you set them up and ambushed. So that being said, Guerrilla, come on now. Gotta make your way over. You know, I'm gonna give it a nice opportunity. I'm gonna give it a nice opportune time for him to come over. I'm gonna sit over here and just hold it down. Now I do what I did this morning to a degree, and I try to play the video just to let people get a touch and a feel of what we talking about if you didn't see the video so far and just heard about it. Give me 1 sec. Hold up, the Guerrilla video down. Nah, there it is. We gotta skip some of Sonetta advertising. I want Guerrilla to come on anyway because I want to see who cut this clip stuff in there. Was it him or was it Sonetta?
What's the question?
Oh, okay. Here we go. We got him. We got him in the house. Peace. What up, bro?
What's good, bro? I just want to, of course, give all praise to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son Yahweh Shai. But what's good, man?
Yeah, man. Turn that camera on, man.
I'm looking rough. I'm looking rough, my brother. So you know,
you got the matter out your eye. Okay.
You feel me? I woke up late, man. I had a late night, man. You know.
Yeah, I feel you. So now I was saying, who cut the Khalid Muhammad piece in there?
That was me. That was me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was good work. That was good work.
Yeah, it was crazy because when I was contemplating on doing a video, something just hopped on me to I just typed in the search bar on YouTube, Khalid Muhammad Jesus. And the first thing that popped up was that speech, the Black Holocaust speech, and I started listening to it. I was like, damn, this is perfect. This is perfect. You know, so yeah. I had to go ahead and get that Khalid Muhammad feature one time.
All right, so now explain to the people what's been going on. What set it off? Did you set it off or did Zion set it off? Start from now and bring us up to date pretty much.
I'll say that in both occasions, Zion set it off. Some people may not agree with that, but I mean, that's basically what happened. I was merely responding to things that he said as far as attacking the Messianic ideology. Going back to the first time, I believe it was either July or August, he made some statements. He made a speech in regards to some breakdown that he did in regards to Isaiah the 53rd chapter, which didn't even make sense. I responded to it. Sonetta picked it up. I didn't even initially respond to it via Sonetta's platform, but Sonetta picked it up, which then caused Zion Lex to go on a rant about me and Tazariak, say some things like that. I then responded to that. Tazariak did a show on it, and he backed down. Then this last Saturday, there was an impromptu debate or discussion that occurred at the temple that Zion Lex attends, which is Shema Israel Nazi's father. You said what?
Impromptu.
You said what, brother?
What you mean by impromptu debate?
Okay, great question. Impromptu meaning it wasn't something that was pre-planned or pre-organized, really. It was kind of a spur of the moment. Just come, we're going to have a discussion. Don't prepare anything. We're going to go off the top of the head. Somebody had just actually posted a picture earlier, and it showed that the Messianic table that featured Divine Prospect, Danyala, and Hashar, and also Malachiah from Hashar's camp AOC, you know, who were the guests in that temple, they didn't have any books sitting on their table. Shammai had 6 books, but they instructed those brothers not to be prepared, like to bring books and things of that nature. So that's what I mean by impromptu. They weren't anticipating it. Hashar says it when he first gets on the mic in the beginning of the video. He was not anticipating that type of setting and that type of discourse to take place in the manner that it did. That's not what they came there for initially, you know. And the fact that that, you know, a lot of people are saying it could have been a setup and things of that nature because of, you know, the way that things transpired, and it definitely seems like it.
Yeah, I posted the pictures up.
Oh, that was you. Okay, yeah, I just seen it. I didn't remember who. Yeah, that's perfect though.
Yeah, I actually went to the YouTube and cropped them and said, look, these brothers got guns on their table and these brothers got pistols.
Yeah,
they got guns. They got a couple pistols, you know. But Yeah. So now watching that, as you said, Hashar said something in the beginning, to that aspect. What else did you take out of the video, if I can ask? What else did you take out of the video that made it seem like it was not genuine?
Just the way the discourse was structured, because it was supposed to be like a very fair back and forth, the same amount of time allotted to each party, etc., etc. And then we seen it get away from that. Then we see people go on rants, namely Zion Lex and Prince of Forward, continually going on rants. And within those rants, you've seen insertions of their ideology. So you see a game being played as far as that goes. Um, Also, and it was a lot of like that I noticed, especially, to begin with, they were trying to fluff the whole situation up, and try to continually throw out this ideology that, oh no, it's unity, this is in the spirit of brotherhood. But as the events transpired, we seen that it wasn't done in that spirit.
You're talking about like putting the arm around them. Yeah, this is my brother, and stabbing them, and everybody like, oh look, they so friendly and stuff. Yes, you stabbing them, and when you let him go, he dead, and you're like, well, I don't know what happened.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
That. Okay.
That's it.
All right. So now tell us about this video dealing with that, because you call Prince, however you say his name, Shapoor, whatever name, and you call Zion name, and then you link some pictures to Zion and things of that nature. Can you go in on that a little bit?
Yes, sir. When I initially had said something about Zion Lex going back a few months ago, a brother who I'm close with, he started to tell me about how Zion Lex was posting pictures of a Jewish man on his page and crediting him as a mentor and a teacher. He then provided me with the evidence. So I had been sitting on this evidence for some time. And then what's crazy is after this video came out, another brother reached out to me. He was like, bro, he said, yeah, I see those. He said, but it's a whole other white man who he credited as his teacher and posted this picture on his Facebook even before that. Okay, but basically, I had been sitting on that information, and it escaped my mind. I had totally forgot about it. So many things have happened since then. I've been, doing so much. But what had happened was I was watching ISUBK General Yohana. I was watching his show this past Monday, and he was going into some of the history of One West. And Prince Zafora was telling lies about the history of One West that past Saturday. So he was making some clarifications. Of course, One West did initially start Old Testament only, but they grew out of that, okay, as their understanding came to them. So Prince Zafora was propagating some fallacies in regards to the history of One West. So as he's saying that, and Johanna is talking about the influence that white Jewish men had on some of these black Jewish synagogues, it popped back into my mind that I had this evidence. You see what I'm saying? The whole time.
Now, when you say Prince Zafora, could you please tell the people who that is?
Okay, Prince Zafora is Nasi's father. He's the leader of Shema Israel, the temple that debate took place in. So basically, the leader of, your Zion Lexes and your Nasi's, Nasi's brother and all of them.
So this the same place in which Zion Lex did the initial video dealing with Isaiah 53 2 weeks in a row that you initially respond to, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to make sure that I haven't falsified any information. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so I knew I had the information. So then I started deliberating on whether I should bring it out. And I took counsel from a couple of brothers, and everybody was in agreement that yeah, that's something that should definitely come out. I reached out to Sonetta. And a lot of people will criticize sometimes the relationship that I have with Sonetta, but it is what it is. I really don't care, because like I said on the video, a lot of people wouldn't even be following me or care about who I am if it wasn't for the exposure that me being exposed to them through that Sonetta TV outlet. So, and I figured that this type of situation is something that would be perfect for that platform. Also based upon the fact that Sonetta has no biases in this argument. You see what I'm saying? We saw when the Old Testament only dudes hosted the event that there was a bias going on, and that they took advantage of that, and they were snatching the mic and stealing people's time and things of that nature because it was in their house. But if we do it at a house that's neutral, I believe more fairness and transparency would be there. So that's why I kind of went to that platform, and I knew, of course, this is something that was important because Zion Lex has appeared on that platform, and the fact that he was looking at a so-called white man as his mentor, I figured that's something that the people need to know about, you know.
Okay, so now you made some more statements in calling him the devil, cracker, and things of that nature. Could you address that, and also address the fact that you spoke on him planting seed in our sister, and how you feel about that? Because I know that you have a, you know, so-called his black, I'll use the byword first, Israelite father and a European mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you feel a certain type of way about, you know, Israelites mixing their seed with other nations from your personal experience as well as biblical experience. So if you could speak on, you know, this mentor of Zion Lex, and how you felt about coming about that knowledge that he's sleeping with a sister and having seeds with a whatever, planting seeds in it, because you spoke on it in the video. I would like for people to get a more clarity from you on it. So if you could speak on it, how it affects you personally, influence the scriptures, and learning that type of information, because I've seen people try to speak on the racism or the racist slurs or whatever on this. So I would like to hear you speak on it if you would.
Yeah, most definitely. That's a powerful question. First, I would like to say, as far as me identifying him as, you know, the devil and all those various things, you know, that the well, you know, of course, but just for the clarification for everybody else, the paradigm that I'm coming from is one that's very anti all other nations, okay, but specifically and chiefly anti so-called white people, who we identify as the Edomite and the devil, right? Now, my thing also is, which I discussed with this brother, Carl Albert last night, was that we have certain Israelites that believe salvation is for all nations. We have Israelites that believe the white man is not the devil, or even Edomite, right? But even in that, the scriptures, a lot of, brothers will go to the scripture that we're supposed to be a light unto the Gentiles. The Gentiles is not supposed to be a light unto us. You see what I'm saying? So the fact that you would lean on a Gentile for understanding when you're supposed to be teaching the Gentile, that's something that I personally, even if we take the devil and the racism out of it, it's something that's still wrong. Because we know the type of treatment and the things that they've done to us, and the way that they've stolen our identity, the way they've lied to us about, called us these proverbs and bywords, take us into slavery. That's why I made sure to mention the fact that people with his same last name, Jewish people, had slaves. You see what I'm saying? Owned slave ships. But as far as dealing with a sister, that's something that, I've always taken personal offense to. I'm not for race mixing on any level, though I am a product of race mixing. We understand, of course, according to the scriptures, your lineage is determined by your father, right? So then when you take one of our women and a white man gets with her, basically our women are now being utilized for the progression of another nation of people. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I've always taken offense to. When we go to the book of Genesis and we go to Levi and Simeon and what they did. Now, Jacob, their father, was upset with them for what they did because it caused drama and turmoil in the area that they live. But they did something to them Hamites for dealing with their sister, because they didn't like the idea that an uncircumcised nation would be with their sister, right? But they tricked them, and they actually got that nation to get circumcised. But what we have to understand is, when we look in the scriptures, these nations they can get physically circumcised, but they're still uncircumcised. You see what I'm saying? As a people, on the spiritual level, because we got to do with the circumcision also of the heart, right? So they're still uncircumcised as people, especially if he's still in the practice of Judaism, because Judaism is not what the Old Testament is about. Judaism is more a Talmudic understanding. You know what I'm saying? So he's an uncircumcised man, right? He maybe not in the flesh, but of the spirit. And he is using our soil, as I said, our earth, to produce his seed and his tree, and that's something that we should be against as people who purport to be pro-black. Zion Lex purports that he's a Pan-Africanist and he's pro-black, right? So if you are a Pan-Africanist and pro-black, then you shouldn't be cool with a white man dealing with your woman. You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's just period. So that's something that I've always taken personal offense to, and I always found odd when sisters would deal with, you know, anybody outside of us, but, you know, in specific, the white man. But again, I don't co-sign anybody dealing outside of. I believe that we should be dealing within our own nation of people. We got plenty of sisters that's out here that's single, that need strong brothers to lead them and to be with them and to, you know, raise them up children. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So I just want to make sure people hearing this and be clear. And I'm not co-signing nothing. So if y'all hear something and I'm not going against nothing, I just want the brother to have another platform to get his message out, with me asking specific questions, being a fan like most of y'all, and listening to, you know, the back and forth, even though I try to participate a little bit too. So now, have you watched the Unity Camp conversation between Divine and people from Nazi camp and, you know, the RBG Hebrews, I guess you would say? Have you watched that video?
I've watched a little bit of that video and certain of other videos that were, you know, along those lines.
Okay, I played some of it this morning, and they was talking about what is Israelite culture, right? Now, this is where we might bump heads a little bit, but I'm gonna do more than speak about it. I'm just gonna ask you and hold my tongue. You know? So they said, what is the Israelite culture? Now you got the white Jew, you got the black Jew, right? We just gonna leave it plain like that. But then you got Israel and you got Edom, right? And Edom coming through in 70 AD after we have been dispersed, start putting their tongue, their language, and their spin on what is ours, seeing that they took what was ours, seeing we was thrown out the land and went into captivity. So now, I would argue that most things that you read about Israel after 70 AD is talking about those Edomites that then took our identity. Would you agree to a degree?
Yeah, I would definitely agree to a degree. Also, especially once we get to, there was a video I did some research on. Once we get to a little further than 70, like 700 AD, when you got Kagan Bullen, you got the Khazars and their conversion. What started to happen was because you read about the real Jews being in Europe during early, because, you know, when we getting ran out, some of us went into Africa, also some of us went into Rome. I believe there was millions of us in Rome. So we were setting up communities throughout Europe. What happened is, as the Khazar started his conversion, he started infiltrating the communities we had in Europe, and then we started getting expelled out of Europe, going to, you know, the Moorish expulsion. All the black faces started getting kicked out of Europe into Africa and things of that nature. So definitely a lot of that is talking about them. It's not talking about us, our history. You know, it's talking about them assuming our identity.
Okay, thanks for the clarity on that. So what I was getting to is, the brother said, when we kick against the white Jews, we kicking against Israelite culture. Now, I'm being specific in saying Israelite because we know that the Edomites are also Hebrews. So they have a Hebrew or Hebraic mindset and culture.
Yeah, that's why brothers sometimes use that term Hebrew too loosely. You know what I'm saying? We got to be specific. We're Israelites. There's several Hebrews. There's only one Israelite.
Right. Correct. Thank you for being clear on that. So when people say Hebraic mindset and stuff, I said, well, if you got the Edomite mindset, that's a Hebraic mindset too. If you had the Ishmaelite mindset, that's a Hebraic mindset. So this brother said we have to not kick against them because they are holding our culture, our traditions, which I would say is what Christ was talking about when he said the traditions of the elders are man-made traditions and things of that nature. Yep. For us, like the Talmudic thing. And the brother brought that up. He said, you know, Talmud this and you know, different things. We know that they also deal with the Kabbalah and dealing with these white Jews and their system, right? So could you speak on the difference between the biblical culture of the Torah and the man-made simulation of the the traditions of the elders that start messing with the Talmud and the Kabbalah and all this Zionist, you know, mindset that people find their way to, or the Judaism, as it's called, that they finding their way to?
It's vast differences. And that's why I was, you know, making that point. That's why they hate the New Testament. That's why they hate who the world calls Christ so much, because he was calling that out during, you know, during his lifetime, saying y'all care more about the washing of hands than you care about the actual law. Not saying that people shouldn't wash up before they go eat, but damn, is that more important? You see what I'm saying? We got to deal with the weightier matters. And that's why he said what he said about the synagogue of Satan also. You see what I'm saying? So we have, and that's the problem. People care more about traditions and people's perception of and that's also something we deal with. We deal with the situation with Mary and Joseph, right? Joseph said, I want to put her away privately so she not be a public example. Why is that? Because if people see her pregnant and they know that they haven't had this marriage ceremony yet, traditionally, that's just like in our traditions, right? Back in the day, our grandparents, right? Somebody's having a baby out of wedlock, that's a problem. People are going to ridicule you on account of that. You see what I'm saying? Because people care more about traditions than actual laws. You see what I'm saying? So it was a perpetuation of a corruption of traditions also. Not even just traditions, but this idea that there was some oral law that Moses also had that he didn't codify, which is found nowhere written in Torah, and that supersedes Torah and contradicts Torah in certain instances. So really this oral law and this Talmud is really what you're dealing with. And then you deal with certain aspects of the Talmud that justify pedophilia, right? Which I know the brother Carl Albert has spoke about. You see what I'm saying? And you know, I spoke about it in my last video design lecture, dealing with the fact that pedophilia, bestiality, and these things are tolerated in the Talmud. Crimes, things that are expressly against Torah, are tolerated in the Talmud. So it's vast between these traditions, these Talmudic traditions, and the alleged oral Torah that people propagate exists, and the actual Torah. Vast differences. You know what I'm saying? They'll basically, and again, they'll let Talmud override Torah, even though Torah is original. Torah was given directly to Moses by the Most High, you know.
Now, do me a favor and speak on the shield of the star, and how that relates. That, you know, most people will say that it's the Rockefeller's star, or Molech, this, that, and the other. If you can speak on that a little bit, if you want to.
Yeah, definitely.
Decline, but if you want to, I'm just asking for my personal, and somebody else might have a question about that too, because their stars pretty much represent their nation. The blue with the two white lines, that is, you know, the star, so-called Israelis.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And just like with many things, aspects of our culture, you know, they've hijacked it, and they've taken it and they've given it, you know, whatever meaning and whatever symbolism they want for them. I'm gonna explain it in the logo here for the camp, and then I'm gonna explain every aspect of it real quick. But I'm gonna first just start with the star, or the so-called star. This is Exodus 28 and 34. I'm gonna go to Exodus 39 and 26. And a bale and a pomegranate, are round about the hem of the robe to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moses. So the ancient priesthood would have pomegranates hanging off of their a manufactured pomegranate hanging off of their robes and, you know, their garments. Okay, and when we deal with the pomegranate, or when a pomegranate is perfect, the bud of that pomegranate has that those 6 points, forms a hexagram. Also, a pomegranate on average has about 613 seeds. So we're using this as a representation of the law, using it as basically the symbolization of the bud of the pomegranate, not a star or anything of that nature. When we have on my logo, when you have the wings in Exodus, when it speaks about the salvation the Most High brought to us out of Egypt, he said he raised us up on eagle's wings. So the so-called star, that's representing the law. The wings are representing salvation. The two olive branches are representing the unification, the reunification of the northern and the southern kingdom, and the sword was representing the word of the Most High, of course, which cuts sharper than any two-edged sword. And then, of course, we got the name of the Most High. And then, you know, this basically means the Most High is our banner, just so you can understand the whole logo and all of its aspects.
Go and hit him with the Sakari a little bit too.
Oh yeah. And then the Sakari was an ancient sect of Israelites that existed around the time of who the world calls Christ in Jerusalem. And they were a radical sect. They were a zealot sect, and they were known for doing assassinations on Romans and also doing assassinations on Israelites that were Roman sympathizers or sellouts, basically. So we are harnessing that same energy, not of course to literally be doing hits on people, but on a spiritual level. And Zion Lex, truth be told, is like a prime example of what the Sakari does and who the Sakari would have targeted during, their time on the scene. So, it's all in the spirit. It's funny how, the Most High has things play out.
Yeah, that's what guerrilla warfare all about. Guerrilla Hebrew.
Yeah,
See, me and Guerrilla done bump heads, so you gotta study people. So that's why I'm asking any questions, because some of y'all might have the same questions but never get the answers if no one ever asks it.
Yeah, that was a good question, brother. Great question.
So, all right. I guess that's pretty much all I got for us questions. We got a couple people that want to come in. I ain't gonna do it right now, but where else would you like to see this go? Because I'm kind of out of questions.
Okay.
I made a video this morning talking a lot of noise and saying things. So, now that you done got your say from the questions, is it anything else you would like to put in there and relate before we try to open it up or whatever?
Yeah, I just got one scripture, and I spoke on this. I called it the Zariach show last night, and I referenced the scripture, and this is basically it. We followers of the Messiah, we got orders. You know what I'm saying? And this is what who the world called Christ Yahushua said in Luke 19:27. He said, "But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, those that are denying who the world calls Christ, bring hither and slay them before me." So on a spiritual level, representing the spiritual Sakari, that's what this issue with Zion Lex is all about. We got that order, so we acting on that order. And on a spiritual level, we slaying those who are deniers and blasphemers of the Messiah Yahushua, who the Most High God Yahweh ordained. We got to remember that there's a Messiah that either came or is coming. All right, we looking for this to be the last day, so that means the Messiah already came, did what he had to do, suffered the bad. Now he's coming back for the good, and his final time.
All right, well, good. I sent that out to Demo. He wanted to get into the show with me and LaRon the other night, speaking on Zion, and he didn't make it in. So I see he hit me up in the inbox. Hopefully he can make it in.
That would be good, because I ain't spoke with that brother in some time, man.
Yeah. If not, then he got to get him a better device so he can make it. But now, what about this unity thing? Because I'm a strong advocate for in-house beef warfare, whatever you want to call it, by whatever terminology. That is too much mask wearing around here.
That's
People
right.
are wearing masks, and they living under false premises and things of that nature. So you in an in-house war or in-house beef or whatever you want to call it and stuff, you in the midst of one. Now I don't think he's going to engage you anymore, but what you feel about that? Because I'm like, it's time to get it on, man. Everybody said they got this information and knowledge, just like I said something on the Sonetta video that he put up of you, and I was basically saying Nazi too. Damn, you left him out. Nazi ass too, because he was there in the spirit. If he wasn't there in the flesh, you can't tell me his pops there and his brother there and birds of a fella don't flock together, right? He's just more political than the others, and he playing the shadow games, as I said this morning. So how do you feel about this in-house interaction that need to go on, and how do you feel about things like that where you have people that's basically would call themselves Hebrew war machine, and they trying to keep that all in under that umbrella and not spread it out and let other people come in that's not biased to the Hebrew Israelite paradigm and trying to push it forth by screaming unity with brothers that carry the same name. If you can feel where I'm coming from, if you can, just pick it up. We got LaRon G with us, G-Con,
Hey, Peace to the brother around too, because he was rocking.
Peace, Guerrilla Hebrew man, and peace to you also too, brother. Call out.
It ain't no peace. You tried to debate me the other night. Nah, it's all good.
But as far, hold on, I got an echo.
It might be LeBron or something. I'm gonna mute my mic.
Yeah. So as far as the unity thing goes, like, I mean, it sounds good, you know, it really does sound good, but these ideological differences, man, they done boiled over, you know, and I've spoke about this before, and I'm gonna say the same thing again. When the so-called September 11 terrorist attacks occurred in the United States of America, there was no racism in America for a good 2-3 months. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was like, them damn Arabs, man, it's them damn terrorists, them damn towelheads. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cared about black, white, Hispanic, any of that. All that was out the window, right? Only people cared about is we got a common enemy from the outside. That's these damn terrorists that was led to believe. So everybody banded together, and there was a spirit of unity that was echoing across from sea to shining sea, so to speak. And then that was out the window, and it was back to regularly scheduled program. Even going back to the Watts riots in '92, all the Crips and the Bloods had a peace treaty for a good 3-4 months in Los Angeles, where nobody was getting killed, and it was all good, and everybody was brotherly love and unity. Then it went out the window. It's something temporal. It's something that occurs when an outside enemy attacks a certain group of people. It's liable to happen. But, I mean, at this point, the Comedics is fighting each other now. They about to do that war conference again. So now that that's out of the window, the doors open up, and not even so much the doors open up, but it is only a matter of time that the inevitable clash will occur between ideologies, especially Messianic and non-Messianic, because that is the primary divider within the community. Because irregardless of the differences that myself and Carl may have, or myself and LaRon may have, or other Israelites, we all agree that this person that is talking about in the New Testament that are called Jesus Christ, that's the Messiah for us, period. You see what I'm saying? So with that,
period, point blank, and as Zion said, it ain't no peaceful way to handle that conversation. No peaceful way at all.
that's right.
It's just no way. I can't stand on no common ground with you on that. You say no, I say yes. Now we got to get in the book and we got to deal with it. We just got to do that. But the thing is, they outnumber. It's more of us than it is of them. I don't know why they figure all of us, as we do with the Christians and the Jewish people and other people, all of them is right and we wrong. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a reverse thing now. But yeah, surely, if we go to Luke 24 and 44, he said he could show you. He showed them everything that was in the law of Moses, the Psalms, and the prophets concerning him. And if we have the same spirit that was up on him, the anointing, what you mean? We can't go back there and do as the captain of our salvation done? I think that's what they fail to realize, that unlike the Roman Catholic Christian, right, that say they're just New Testament only, no one here said they New Testament only. Like I said, you'll never find one of us, excuse my language, people, I curse. If you don't like it and to defend you, I'm sorry, but I do what I do, right? And I'm just apologizing up front, but I'm still going to do it, right? But, you know, at the end of the day, if it's like, with them, they'll say, fuck the New Testament. I don't deal with the New Testament. All of that is bullshit and garbage, you know? And come out their mouth like that. Fuck a Christ. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't, that's, you know, and they'll come out like that. Some of them are more political, and they know profanity, you know, or corrupt communication, as some would like to get political with it. It offends people, so they won't come out their mouth like that. They'll do it in an intelligent way, and they'll do it in an academic way, in a scholarly way. And then people that believe in scholarship and doing that to say, well, why don't you get your pencil and paper out and deal with them in a scholarly manner? Well, that's what's supposed to have happened the other day when they sat down for that discourse, right? But you can see that they took the scholarship out of it and just ambushed the brothers. So that's not a just balance. That's not a just weight. That is not Torah. That's not the attributes of a righteous man that's following the precepts of God. So we'll never do that. Never will you find one of us saying, excuse the French again, fuck the Torah, fuck Yah, or nothing like that. So in that aspect, you already see who is the disrespectful one. Because we can't disrespect that. But they feel like they can disrespect the new. They can disrespect those texts and things. And this is where the problem come in, to be truthful. And so if I got to get my hands dirty, that's what I just did. I'm getting my hands dirty. Because that's how I see it. You will find one that, unlike Zion or unlike Nasi, that is political with it and want to do the scholarly thing and not, well, I'll put it like this. They want to be, I can't even do that. Let me see. They want to be more Reggie than Sarah Susan said. I'll put it like that. Reggie gonna speak scholarly and he's not gonna really use profanity, and Sarah Susan said it gonna be, you know, that brother from the hood with the profanity and stuff. That's the political grounds we talking about. So those that know those two brothers can feel us, because y'all might not know the Hebrew components of them. But that's what Zion and Nasi is. They more political. They trying to do the Machiavellian thing. You know what I'm saying? They really going around worse than Sakari, stabbing people up, taking them out the game, and moving their pieces on down the board.
Yeah,
but a lot of people,
because niggas knew how the Sakari was going. Niggas knew to look out for the Sakari. It's the it's the one that you don't know who to look out for that's bad. But I want to get this real quick, brother. Just a real quick expert here in the Old Testament. We're gonna go to the Old Testament, right? And it's an account that occurred in Samuel with Nabal, right? Now watch. It's 1 Samuel 25:9. And when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all those words in the name of David, right? So when we say in the name Yahweh, in the name of Christ, whatever, they got a problem with that. But as we see, these individuals, David's men, came in David's name, right? And cease. Going to verse 10. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? The same thing they saying about who the world calls Christ, Yahweh, because he the son of David, the son of Jesse, right? There be many servants nowadays that break away from every man from his master. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shears and give it unto men, whom I know not whence they be? So David's young man returned their way and went again and came and told all those sayings. And David said unto his men, gird ye up every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword, and David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff. So as we clearly see, men came in David's name. When David, their leader, was disrespected, they went and got their swords and was finna go handle that business. You see what I'm saying? So we coming in the same way. If we looking at who the world calls Christ as the king, we coming in his name. Somebody disrespect him, we swing a sword, like it or not. You see what I'm saying?
Like it or not, you know, whoever got to get it. Elders too, if they choose to play in the young man's game, sit on the sideline. If you don't want in, don't stick your hand out to get tagged in.
Damn right.
Simple as that. Peace to everybody. What up, James? What's up, Mikael?
Shalom, everybody. Shalom.
Y'all hear what we talking about now, you know. And I did the video this morning. I don't know if y'all caught it, so it is what it is. You know, I put out there that the brothers was ambushed. I put the pictures out there to show they had more guns. Like, say the wrong thing and you will get popped. You know what I'm saying? We got the ammo. We ready. You know, just actions itself spoke. I think Hashar subliminally put that out there at the end, just like he was like, Zion, you know, when this with its own. But you know, they did make the video and show love and everything at the end, and they kept saying that, but this is the way it should be done. In a way, trying to say that if you, once again, as I said earlier, if you don't come scholarly with them, then they really don't want to sit down. But then at the same time, you throw scholarship on the table and pull the dagger out, as I said earlier. You're hugging them and stabbing them at the same time. I mean, I don't need to hug if you're gonna stab me.
Yeah, when you gonna open up the panel for questioning, though?
we here. You know
You
when you
open it up right now. I was just about to say something. That's
when,
what I was going to say.
I'm
when
just
you
checking.
hear,
I'm just saying.
Stuff.
hey,
Hold
when
on,
you
James.
hear,
Hold tight.
hey, let me just say this: when you hear and you get the invite, if you on fire, you come in and say, "Give me that mic."
Hmm.
I'ma step back.
Yeah. If I
Hold
could.
on, James. James, let
Okay, go
hold
ahead.
tight, man. Let me come in and let me. I've been sitting for a little minute. What's up, Guerrilla Hebrew, man?
What's
I'm
up,
just,
King?
I don't hold nothing back, man. And I looked at the whole thing, from the very start when the brother was dealing with Isaiah 53, and like I say, even the brothers that was on the panel that night, that came in, even if they had they books out or they didn't have their books out, I'm always on grind and ready. So when I look at them brothers, that was there that night on the panel that was dealing with the Messianic, I think I felt like, the New Testament was on attack. I felt like them brothers didn't come with no type of questions that they needed to come to that was very important, because every time Nasi or every time Zion Lex get on the panel and they ask questions, they do a show, them brothers 15 minutes and gone like superstars. You know what I'm saying? Like this a rap concert. Nobody is asking these brothers no questions or nothing like that. So it was a lot of questions that I felt that they wasted, that they should have asked, especially dealing with Isaiah 53, since that was the whole thing that he came off and he was dealing with anyways. No one asked any questions about that. No one asked any questions about why does the Most High desire so much blood, and what is this initiation of blood? So, you know, we have a lot of those things that has to get answered, man, that has not got answered, man.
If I
So
can, if
that's
I
my
can respond
standpoint
to
on
that,
it.
if I can respond to that real quick, because it's funny, like, and this is why we say he's Lil P, starting with, Tazariak from ISUPK, Lil P or Lil Polite Zion Lex, because what does Polite do? He asks a million questions. Nobody asking him questions. He's asking all the questions. And I'm going to tell you the reason that is. They are taking advantage of the genuineness of brothers who are messianic. We are so genuine that we invite all questions. We want to give you the answers. We want you to understand this, and they take advantage of that and ask a million questions to divert and deviate from you asking them questions. You know what I'm saying? So they can get called out for the lies that they on. And also, you said something about requiring blood. A brother pointed something out to me, because I was dealing with the covenants, and with dealing with a covenant with the Most High, blood got to be shed. Circumcision, the ram in the bush, all of that. We know blood got to be shed, but even a smaller level of that. Let's talk about marriage, the ancient Hebrew Israelite marriage customs. The parents had to keep what? The tokens of virginity, because when you first have sex with that virgin, when her hymen break, she bleed, and that blood is on them sheets. So they keep it, knowing that you made a covenant with her when you entered into her. You see what I'm saying? And there was blood that was shed in order to really consummate that covenant. You see what I'm saying? So there is no covenant without blood. That's period. You see what I'm saying? We know how the Most High get down.
Most definitely, most definitely, most definitely.
Yeah, and if I could just put it, like, I didn't really have an issue with the questions per se, personally, because I understand you coming out to a non-messianic audience that look at us as if
They
we're
handled the
typical.
questions well too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as they look at us as typical Sunday Christians. You know what I mean? From their viewpoint. But my issue was when a response was given, which I felt was credible, the way it was brought back at him, like, oh, well, I'm a master of the Hebrew, and when I go into it, I don't see, like, for example, like the thing about the saying Yahweh Shai, and when Divine Prospect brought out, well, if you don't have any diacritic mark to make it a Shua or a Shai at the end, how would you know the difference? And they gave the example from the scriptures, the Old Testament. And instead of him looking at that and saying, okay, that's possible, he came back like, oh, well, y'all must not understand Hebrew or something like that, which I felt was really disingenuous. You know what I mean? And it was something else that's escaped my mind right now, but I'll come back to it later. But that's just something I wanted to point out.
Yeah, they did a lot of that. They did a lot of that. You notice they did a lot of that, and that's why I made that point when I put that so-called Jew up there and say the reason why you are even acting like that and acting like you're such a master in the Hebrew is because you learned from guys like him, and they are telling you that. You see what I'm saying? But we know that the Hebrew that they're speaking is not the actual Hebrew. They know that. They just, when the Pope went to Jerusalem and he was speaking with Netanyahu, I believe it was either earlier this year or sometime last year, they even said it to where when they was arguing about the language that who the world calls Christ spoke, they said it wasn't that Aramaic, it wasn't the Yiddish Hebrew you speaking now, it wasn't none of that he was speaking. He was speaking something that predates even that. You know what I'm saying? So, and that was like a moot point to say where that's not even a point of the conversation that we're talking about. You say if we want to get technical, we take away your vowel point system, you guys then don't even know how to speak the Hebrew. But go ahead.
Right. And once again, Divine didn't have a book, so it's like, hey, go to our library, go to the gun rack. He say he ain't got a gun, give him a gun, and let's see if he want to shoot out. Won't have a shootout. You know,
yeah, I'm gonna get the AR. The AR. You know, you got a 6-shot. You know what I'm saying? 22 revolver.
It's always gonna end up being that way when you dealing with quote unquote academic and scholarship more than you dealing with the doctrine and what is conveying to the people. Yeah. As you say, you cannot make a covenant without blood, and you cannot atone without blood. That's another thing that escaped the conversation. You cannot atone without blood. Blood is the atonement. You cannot talk yourself out of the punishment. You have to atone your way out of it. This is what I just was about to say a few minutes ago. This brother came up and said, oh, you need to get your game up. You can't mess with us non-messianic, this, that, and so on. Once again, you see the clowniness in their actions and ways when they say we believe in the Messiah, therefore we're messianic, we just don't believe in that Messiah. That's another tricky way of doing it. But I was like, I don't say Christ died for our sins. I say he atoned for our sins. You can't say another man can't atone for another man's sins. Now, if we get into the technicalities of how we atone and what he atoned with, then we'll get down to you saying you can't atone for another man's sin with blood, because you getting technical to what atonement is made with. It's made with blood. Either your blood or the animal's blood. In the case of just dealing with Torah law and animal sacrifice.
Something gonna bleed.
But see, here's
atonement. Like in the day of atonement, atonement's made for all of Israel by one high priest, not by,
That's it. That's why I was gonna go to. It say Christ was the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, so why can't he atone? Then you'll get the argument, well, that's the Levitical priesthood, and that's the priesthood from Judah, which is not under Levi.
Now watch this though. Well, I'm gonna show y'all something, right? And I'm gonna show y'all something interesting about that. I've been teaching on this a lot lately. Real quick, I'm gonna go to John 11, right? First and foremost, it's John 11, and I'm gonna start at 47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. For this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for that nation, and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad. Then from that day forth they took counsel together to put him to death. So as we see, Caiaphas recognized Christ, and he recognized that he was the one that had to die, and he was the high priest, the seed of Aaron. Now watch this. We'll go to Exodus 30, right?
So what did he recognize? He recognized that, number one, that in Abraham's seed, which that seed was Isaac, the only begotten, that the blessings had to come through. And as Abraham believed that Isaac would raise from the dead, right, if he sacrificed him and killed him. So, you know what I'm saying? There go resurrection, there go the sacrificing of another person.
Yeah.
All of that, God just said it said God would choose him. Did it say a lamb, or what did it say in that text? When
It's a ram in the bush.
Yeah,
right, he gave a lamb in the bush. So when we read about Christ in the New Testament, he said he the Lamb of God. He's that lamb that was to replace that seed back there. But Abraham's seed had to do what he had to do. Isaiah 53.
Yeah, exactly. And then when we go here to Exodus 30 and 10, and it says, and Aaron shall make an atonement upon the horns of it once a year with the blood of the sin offering of atonement. Once in a year shall he make atonement upon it throughout your generations. It is the most holy unto the Lord. So that's the high priest's job, to sprinkle that blood. That's why he conspired to get him put to death. And he said, let his blood be upon me, because he knew it was his responsibility for his execution. It was his responsibility to metaphorically sprinkle that blood. That's why he was so adamant in getting him killed, because he, being Caiaphas, understood the role that he had to play in that situation, understanding the Levitical priesthood and the fact that it was a pattern of this thing to come, dealing with the Messianic order and the order of Melchizedek. But they don't want to deal with that. This all goes straight back to the Torah.
And the Tanakh, because that is Isaiah 53 all the way. His soul shall be an offering.
There we go. And then they go try, and then look, it's funny because like I pointed out then, when Zion Lex did his so-called breakdown on that, he stopped at like verse 7 or 8. He didn't want to go into 10 and 12 when it's clear that can't be talking about Israel. How is Israel pouring his soul out for transgressors? We the transgressors. we blemish. We can't be the unblemished lamb.
Especially at that point in time, we were definitely blemished.
Why was we in Babylon? Okay? They tell you, matter of fact, Ezekiel, the beginning of Ezekiel, it says, look into the house. That's when we was worshiping all the hosts of heaven and all manner of creeping things. In the house of the Most High.
Then I want to bring out something real quick, too, because he talked about the altars and the altar of incense. He talked about, I believe, the
copper and the gold.
The copper and the gold altar, right? And what he did was, if you go back and you listen to it, he doesn't even really know the layout of the temple. He talked about the copper of gold. I mean, the gold altar, which is the altar of incense, which is the prayer altar, basically, being in the in the holy place, not the most holy place, but the holy place.
Yeah, because
you enter.
Yeah, the altar of incense is just outside of the most holy place.
Exactly. So when you enter in the most holy place, I mean, when you enter in the holy place, there is an altar of incense that's there. This is those same censers that we see, also the bowl of censers that we see in Revelations, when he took the censer, the angel, and he threw it down to the ground, and there was whispers, and an earthquake took place in the earth, basically, and things were shooken up because of the prayers of the saints, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what we see in the book of Revelations. So we see that the prayers are being answered at that point in Revelations, but we see that these prayers of incense go up before the Most High, and he talked about prayer, right? Now look, when you get to the most holy place, he said, tell Aaron, don't come in this place often, but once a year. He said, and when he come into this place, he must come into this place with blood. You can't come in that place without blood, and that's the most holy place. So then, this is the question I would have asked them brothers, and they didn't ask this. Why and what's the purpose and what are the patterns of these things, and why was blood initiated in the first place? We see blood being initiated in the Torah as early as Genesis chapter 3. We see that. And how we see it is because we see that Adam broke and sinned against the Most High God and disobeyed him. So therefore his blood was required of him, not a lamb or anything else. So the problem to resolve a problem takes place in Genesis chapter 3 when Adam took and made fig leaves to cover his shame. the Most High came behind him and said, no, by blood and coat of skin, he covered his shame. Something had to die. So the first initiation of sacrifices is actually by the high priest, which is God, the creator.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's heavy. That's heavy. That's a heavy point.
As we dealt with the other day, going through all them scriptures, you can see two beings in the same likeness, in the same image. One is the express image. One is known as the visible one. One was, I don't want to get into all that because we all might not agree upon that. So I don't want to throw nothing on the table. We going at the non-messianic. I'll deal with y'all tomorrow. We'll break our peace treaty tomorrow. But nah. So the messianic that represented was basically those, and I just got to speak on this because Guerrilla brought the Sinetta up too. It's those that show on Sinetta TV. You know what I'm saying? Those that's in the same quote unquote market or bracket. Now, me myself, I talked to Daniela about it a little bit. No holds bars here, people. And I'm like, it's like y'all only big up New York people. I'm thankful that Sinetta let you get on there and you from Cali and you not around that circle. You know what I'm saying? Because it seemed like it's a bias with that. I tried to break into the market. We know. At the end of the day, I said Nazi hated because I was messianic. I used that term. And, word went out that I lost the debate on the God of the Bible being an enemy, not a friend. How is that when believers in the Bible? But it's due to the fact that I say Christ is God. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. All that I said on that table was against Shamaha Torah. You know what I'm saying?
That was the host.
And he was the host. He didn't have a KJV Bible in the house. I didn't bring this. Remember that conversation? He didn't bring his Bible. Well, I'm going to a quote-unquote Hebrew Israelite temple. I figure they would at least have one King James around. If you got all this Talmudic and Kabbalah, I don't know if it was in there or not, but if you bringing them books and different things in there, why wouldn't you have a KJV? Just to read the New Testament so you can debunk it. So I didn't figure that. But I could see the betrayal of this so-called unity even back then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And me and Guerrilla didn't talk about it. We had issues from back then. We're not gonna rehash them. But you know what I'm saying? And as I told Daniela, which he never did nothing to me but that one thing, he tried to say he couldn't rock with me because I gave salvation to other people when you rocking with people that don't believe in the Messiah you believe in. They believe it's one to come. And Zion believes salvation is for other nations too, just like me. But yet and still, now this is your brother and y'all can shake hands in this love because y'all from MIC the same market and y'all helping each other in that market. To me, that is disingenuous. If you want unity, you got to reach out to James. You got to reach out to me. You got to reach out to Mikael. You got to reach out to any Israelite out there because you're trying to bring different people in different walks and camps together. And then you see Divine down there, him, Nazi, and those Israelites down there. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing to go back to Chicago. It's a whole group of me. It's a whole King Kabuta of me. Mikael being one. You know what I'm saying? Well, I come from. Kabuta. So if I wanted to say, I can't go here or go there, y'all want to let me in there in them type of markets or anything, I could go to Chicago and get it on and popping. But, I'm kind of a lone wolf. Sometimes you get jumped on when you the only one, Yeah. But it is what it is. So the fake call for unity, which I said fake call for unity because the thing is, those uniting are uniting for certain reasons and they're getting benefits from it. It's just as simple as that. That's like trying to unite with the Moors now. Why are you trying to unite with the Moors now and you didn't make this call for a back? We know that Nazi got Moorish, Hebrew, whatever that Gmail he got. So he been playing with it, but he'll say he's not a Moor. But then he kicking it with the Moors. And then you got Albert running around saying Moors and Israelites the same people like Taj Tariq Bey. But then when the war is on between Kemet and Israelites, where the hell the Moors at?
Yeah, because they was looking for our hand. They was looking for a handout from us when they was going at it.
Now that they going at it, you should say. Now that they going at it and Reggie didn't call them out, it's like, well, let's unite. Let's come together. This and that. But what was the unity and the love there? No more lies. We not Moabites. We not Canaanites. We Israelites. No more lies.
There we go.
So now it's the fake unity called there. People, well, I read in the Bible, when I hear people screaming peace, I best beware. And I done heard the United States, as Guerrilla say, after 9/11, they said we need peace. We need to defend ourselves against terrorists. And look, they done implemented all kind of stuff up under the Terrorist Act that goes against the Constitution and us because of peace. Peace, my brother. Stabbing you up. So I'm leery of people that say peace. I'm not that frightened or leery of people that say keep it real with me, brother. If you don't like me, just let me know. If you don't appreciate this or like this, let me know. And if I want to offend, I'll go there. If I don't want to offend, I'll make sure I don't go there. And then we can have common grounds and respect each other as men, and peace will come about if you do that. But screaming peace and stabbing me, that ain't. Now I can't go for that. Cause soon as I feel a prick, I'm calling for backup. It's danger.
You sounded like the United States Cavalry now. You told the native it was peace, and then you killed all of them. You know?
Right. You genociding. So people, I don't know what's going on, and I don't know what's gonna come about, but I'm, like I said, I'm just crying out to the people more than anything, because as a spectator, as a watchman, if I'm hearing and seeing people trying to take us from the New Testament or from the gospel and the epistles and the apocryphal type writings, if I'm using the right word, I ain't, my vocabulary limit, then I have to speak out. I have to blow the trumpet. And Nazi, Zion done had a covert mission going on for a long time. You can believe it or not. I'm telling you, you can believe it or not. And that's all I've been crying out about. Like I said, Kemet on trial, the brother got a crown on. How you gonna wear a crown on and we all supposed to be kings, a kingdom of priests? Damn it, you need to buy a crown and put it on everybody's head so you can represent right and show yourself as a nation of kings, kingdoms, kings, and priests.
Well, I know that's what Christ will do. He said he putting crowns on head.
He putting crowns on head. So if he even want to perpetrate a Messiah, or as people want to say, we all Messiahs, anointed ones, then damn it, we all need crowns.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I want to, if I could bring this out real quick, because Ron was speaking about the altars, right? And dealing with the incense altar, because, Zion was talking about the sacrifice of prayer, which to a degree he had a point, but we have to understand something. In order for that incense to get into the most holy place, it's got to pass through the veil, period. All right, so let's go here to Hebrews 10 and 20. By a new and living way, which he have consecrated for us through the veil, that is to say his flesh, talking about Christ. That's why we do things in his name, because he's that veil. Them prayers, that incense ain't going nowhere unless it get through the veil, period. You see what I'm saying? So just as David's men came in his name, we coming in who the world calls Christ's name, Yahushua, period.
And if you diss him, it's on. And this the same thing about it. If God pulled one back, then so be it, right? And so it's the same things. I put this out to the Hebrew Israelite women of the women, right? Now, more than anything, some of this stuff going because y'all uplifting and upholding men's and some of this folly. You know what I'm saying? You're not even talking to them and say, why don't you have a sit down, a peaceful sit down, and really hash out things of this nature and stuff? You know, they oppress y'all voice most of the time. Most of the time you want to speak, but you know, I know y'all speak to each other, and I know y'all see these same things. And I know y'all talking about, oh, it seemed like an ambush or it didn't, or the Messianic guys got at the non-Messianic, this and that. We know these conversations going on, right? So y'all got some say-so in this too. Y'all got a hand in this game too. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to be more responsible, because I done seen some of them deal with the New Testament, start dealing with Nazi. Them, they don't deal with the New Testament no more. They still around, but they try to act like it's no love, and then they going amongst the women's trying to spread certain stuff unbeknown to the men, because we don't be with the women at most of the time. So now the covert missing once again. They got women going trying to corrupt other women. If you don't believe that's going on, you're a damn fool.
Let me say something real quick, Carl.
Okay, you have no eyes and ears to see what's transpiring before you. Go ahead.
And then also, when we deal with, you know, the Isaiah 53 thing, you know, as the brothers mentioned before, I find it odd that you would say that a whole nation can die for the whole nation of Israel can die for the nations outside of Israel or the Gentiles. But when we say that the Moshiach, which is foreshadowed in the law, which is foreshadowed of all those atonement of all those blood offerings as being without blemish, dying for the nation of Israel, it's a problem with that. But you can say that Israel died for a nation of people, and that's what it's talking about. You know, and his whole premise on Isaiah 53 was just, I'm talking about it has to be questioned. It has to be scrutinized. It has to be, we have to sit down and have a discourse with this brother and break down Isaiah 53. And that should have been what the argument was there, because somebody in Daniel 9 and 24 within itself, none of that was on the table, none of that was dealt with on who the Moshiach is and why we come to the premise where we come to. Them brothers came and put the New Testament on trial and basically ran through Zion Lex and them other brothers. I mean, ran through Divine Ron Prospect and them other brothers who was on the panel like diarrhea, man.
Right. Well, let's deal with the simplicity of what you're talking about, because I think you made a great point, but I don't want it to be missed, right? If you saying Israel can die for the sins of the nation itself, the nation can die for the sins of the nation of itself. I don't think anybody would say they die for the Gentiles unless they say the Gentiles is Israelite foreigners. So knowing the Hebraic mindset of them Hebrews, right, the Israelites, that they would probably want to say that. But if you're going to say the nation can die for people, what you mean one individual can't die for the people? Because there's still people dying for people now. So your premise of saying that one man can't die for the sins or atone for the sins of the people, as I like to say, then how can this nation atone for its own sin? How can that be a premise?
Exactly. And it doesn't make any sense. Then when you look at Isaiah 53 and you look at Leviticus 16, it's hand in hand. When it talks about bearing the sins, they say that there right there is not a sin offering, that it's a grief offering. Well, a grief offering still must be.
So once again, it's crazy, like you said. Number one, like dealing with the preterist community lately, right? If you just deal with the 70 weeks of Daniel, it'll take you all the way up to the time of Herod and the building of that temple and who had to come. It say Messiah will be cut off, but not for himself. Spook. That's it right there, what you quoted. I ain't even got the book open. I can open the book and it'll kill the argument like that. It's no argument when you understand. This is the problem. A lot of people just cowardly and they don't want to fight. They don't want to sit down and talk about it. But they'll tell you y'all lying and you're wrong and this and that and make all these slanderous remarks. But it's like, look, just take the time out and we have our own debate arena amongst each other, whatever. And different people get in the ring and argue and debate and deal with these matters. And then the audience and the people, as they tried to do about that, they would love it. Because they want to hear what Daniela said. They want to hear what Divine got to say. They want to hear what Guerrilla has to say. They want to hear what I have to say. And everybody else, what Nazi has to say is LeBron saying, y'all superstars, y'all come, y'all talking is like, peace, I'm out. You worse than Russell Simmons when he was closing the show. Everybody in the nation should have a voice at some point in some time. Some people have to earn that, but some of us didn't put in the work and earned it. It's just some of us haven't been to that platform, that great independent satellite TV platform. And I'm not trying to get no plug be on there. I was going to Atlanta to see them brothers, and I was saying to everybody, I don't even want to be on camera. I want the physical contact, but don't put me on the camera. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to use me to try to blow your stuff up and really don't fuck with me, then I don't want to. It's, you know, it is what it is. You know, I try to make up my own debates and make my own arena. I don't need, once again, to sugarcoat nothing or kiss tail to be where I don't want to, where people don't want me to be. It ain't like I don't mind going over there. I want to be on every platform if I can. I want to go to TBN tomorrow if I can. The bigger it is, I won't own it. The Preterist platform pretty big. I won't own it because I want to go and represent Israel doctrine to the fullest. You know, and Israel doctrine is not me. This is Israel doctrine. Go to the website and check it out. I'll explain what it is. So, who got something to say, man? Mikael, what's up, man? You sitting here? What? You got a dog in this fight?
Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Huh?
Shalom. Hey, can you hear me?
James, you
hear me?
No, I'm still
here. Israel,
I'm just listening, brother, because you know me.
Can y'all hear me?
My only issue is people not being straightforward and letting people give actual answers and taking the answer for what it is, unless you can come out and actually prove it incorrect and not just base it off how you feel. And that was my only issue with the whole situation. I mean, if there's going to be any true unity, y'all correct. This discussion must be had. And when it's had, you know, people can't just be holding back. Guns got to kind of come out blazing. You can't tiptoe around the subject because this is actually two ideologies that literally clash when it comes to the Messiah. So yeah, that's got to go down. And you know what I'm saying? But I'm hoping there can be some unity out of it, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
You can hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, I just hit somebody with the link.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
You know, try to give other people a chance if they want to come over and talk.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
You know, those that I see online, they might want to come over and say something. Hey, if you feel I said something wrong and you out there and you're a part of this whole thing, please hit me in the inbox. I'll give you the link. You can come check me, and we can deal with some issues right now if need be. You see what I'm saying? Because no one is beyond rebuke. Do we need to go to the Leviticus 19?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Let's go there right quick. We did a lot of talking and not a lot of reading. Mikael, your mic open. You can talk.
I don't know why.
19 and 17, Leviticus. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. If you love a brother, you'll tell him when you see him going wrong. If he's an honorable brother and adhere to Torah, he will correct his ways and repent and thank you. And if you go to the New Testament, it said one that turns one away from his sins covers a multitude of iniquity and sin. Because if you can stop that brother from doing that or teaching something that's not right or whatever, then you know how many people now you are saved from that false doctrine or those false things or those wicked ways and actions. So rebuking each other is a must. If you're not a minister of rebuke and you're not a receiver of rebuke, then you will be one that probably say you're holy and without sin. And we know the New Testament say in 1 John that he just say without sin, there's a lie and the truth ain't in him. So a brother that sees this in you should rebuke you. And if you any type of righteous brother, you should take that rebuking and that correction. And all scripture is good for that. Especially we can hear you from Genesis to Malachi with those that only deal with Torah and Tanakh and Talmud and Kabbalah or whatever, I guess. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just been listening to y'all, and I'm outside, so you know you might hear a lot of background noise and stuff. I'm up to about 79th Street, right? And so I'm checking y'all out on the phone, man. Shalom to everybody, man. Shalom to the brother Alazar. Shalom to James, man. Grace and peace to you, Israel Doctrine, and my brother G-Con.
Peace, 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 brother Mikael.
Shalom, shalom.
Good to hear from you, always.
So, hey, well, look, you asked did I have a dog in this fight. I've been sitting back quiet, man. I've been watching all the videos all the way back to a month ago when Zion pulled the first one, and then Guerrilla retaliated, swift, and then it's been, you know, they kind of put it under wraps for a while. Said, okay, we even had the Hebrew War Machine, you know, unity thing on Sal, but you know, I'm gonna keep it real, and I don't care who see this, because y'all know I keep it 100, man. You gonna like me or you ain't. I don't talk behind people's back, none of that. But the truth is, there's something the brother just said. I think that was James. He just said that he will hope that unity could come out of this. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. Unity can come out of it with genuine people, but it's some disingenuous cats, man. That's under the half booker act. And the only reason I call them half bookers, like I'm gonna keep it real like this. Like I got my brother Moray, y'all know Moray Yeshaya, or call himself, you know, a Kashu that night. That's a genuine brother. He's a real genuine brother. Like I break bread with him on the regular. We talk on the phone. He actually is the type that although he's Old Testament based, he'll ask you questions about the New Testament that he probably don't understand. So like I would hire him tutoring me, brushing me up on Hebrew, and I would brush him up on the New Testament. See, that's a genuine demo right there. You know what I'm saying? You got even the brother Mighty Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? From my short encounters with him, he seems genuine. Yep. You know what I mean? I got love for Nasi, but I peeped what Guerrilla was saying, though. I mean, what Israel Doctrine said. By them being his camp folks, you can't think that he don't share the same, you know what I'm saying, feelings or whatever, but he just never came out like that. So, I mean, I love the brother. But then you get some other brothers, man, and you know, like, I got love for the brother Zion Lex. I was on his page earlier. But it's a lot of stuff, man. Like, the ambush is the perfect word. It's like you got particular brothers, man, that smile in your face, and then the minute they want to try to make a fool out of the New Testament, and they try to do it when they think you unprepared. See what I'm saying? So I kind of just been sitting back. But yeah, man, the time gonna come, man. We gonna have to just go on straight out, man, and clean house. Because see, a lot of the tactics that I see being used on the Messianic brothers is real sneaky, and I think that got something to do with them not adhering to the Messiah. Because a lot of what he taught was, you see what you get. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had one of his biggest problems with the Pharisees is because they talked a good game and looked a good game, but they was really phony. You know what I mean? So
They was
I
opening
think,
sepulchres, huh? They looked good on the outside, but was rotting in the end, he say, huh?
and if Israel ain't, if we truly are them people, which without a doubt we know we are, then I don't know why they would surprise us that those people still don't exist, because they definitely still exist and they got sex. So I'm gonna say this, man. If you only profess to subscribe to a certain amount of books, like we accept the whole Bible, the Torah, Tanakh, and the Gospels, the letters, the whole nine. But if you only get the Old Testament, then you shouldn't have to do sneak tactics to try to disprove somebody in that book. You ain't got that many books, outside of the creepy books like Talmud and Kabbalah and all that, man. You should at least know the book. For instance, we would be bogus if we just start getting down on them and say stuff like, well, where y'all sacrifice at? Because I can't find nowhere in the Old Testament where God commanded you. Now, listen to what I said. Commanded you to stop sacrificing. He said obedience is better than sacrifice. He said he don't desire the blood of lamb and bulls and goats. But I do not see one place where he commanded them to stop sacrificing. And you know what a brother try to use on you? The first thing they're going to run to is Hosea chapter 3 and verse 4. If they knew any type of history, they would know when it said we would go many days Israel without a sacrifice to a priest. They would know that literally happened during the split of Judah and Israel. And Levi left Israel and went to Judah. Then they went back to Israel, then they went back to Judah. So this was real literal history. Yes, you can apply to what we're going through today, but this was real history. So my thing is, if you only subscribe to a certain amount of books, why aren't you sharper in those books? Why you got to pull a super group / Yiddish game every time you know a cat gonna cut you? So that's why I'm starting to get kind of irritated with it. Love to my non-messianics that's genuine. But the ones that's got the little sneaky tricks to it, man, we gonna have to go ahead and squad up, man, and just gonna get this over with. That's all I gotta say.
Go ahead now, real quick. If I could say something too, it's funny because we gotta remember in Scripture sometime when it say Israel, it's talking about the kingdom. It's not talking about the nation. So that's a powerful point that you brought out. When we go to Kings, when we know when the kingdom split, Rehoboam and Jeroboam, the Levites said that they were setting up randoms, to be the high priest of the high or their idols. So the Levites, they resorted to a Rehoboam. So that's a very powerful point that you made. That's a point that we can't forget. And I'm gonna say this real quick about the sacrifice, because I'm gonna go to Ezekiel 35. Now it's gonna reference rams and goats, but we're gonna be able to read this and be able to deduce what it's really talking about. Ezekiel 35 and 5. Oh no, matter of fact, I'm gonna start at matter of fact, is this what I want? My bad, y'all. This ain't even what I want, but it's a scripture in regards to the sacrifice that the Most High has in Basra. And he said he got that sacrifice in Basra. He ain't talking about rams and goats. He's talking about the people of Basra, and we know who those people are. So is the Most High wrong for sacrificing in people? We gotta, we gotta, like the scripture saying in the New Testament, we gotta learn how to rightly divide the word of truth. Okay, you gotta know what means what, when, what precept go with what, and get that understanding. We can't pick and choose, cherry pick, none of that, man. That's wicked.
I agree.
That was Isaiah 34 and 6. I think you were looking for, brother.
Isaiah 34. That's what we need. Isaiah 34 and 6. The sacrifice of Basra. That's my joint.
Yes, sir. And just to kind of land back on something he was saying earlier, this was the other thing that I was thinking about, and I'm pretty sure you brought it out in your video. The way that they talked about, the worship, as if it's not mentioned in the Old Testament, people bowing down or prostrating before a prophet or a king, which is prevalent throughout the Old Testament. But when it came to the New Testament, they made it like, oh, well, Jesus was making people worship him as God, when that was never the intention.
And that's what I said about, I said, if that's the case, well, then Moses worshiped Jethro.
Yeah. Now, the thing with that is, honor is due to everyone that honor is due to. What's to the Father belongs to the Father. What's to the Son belongs to the Son. Simple as that. And due to the fact that the Father sent him and he did what he did, he deserves some honor. He deserves a lot.
That's true. And just like if you look in the customs, even if you go to heathen nations, if someone is brought out in the name of the king, when he shows the king's seal, you bow before that king's seal.
This
Same
was
thing
seen
with
in
a prophet.
300.
If he comes out in the name of God, you bow in reverence to God, not to the prophet.
He did that in 300, didn't he? The messenger
Yeah.
said, I come in the name of Alizersi or whatever, right? And he said, hey, look, when you touch me, you touching the king now. And that's where he said to touch the Lord anointed is very disrespectful, because he's deserving of what he's deserving of, because the Lord has anointed him and given them that stewardship.
Exactly, because to attack the Lord's anointed is to declare war on the Lord himself.
Simple as that. David knew that
Yeah.
and understood that.
Yeah, and further on that point, well, basically, what y'all just brought out, they don't even know. I mean, if you attacking Christ, literally, you are attacking the ambassador to the Father, and we know that you cannot fight a supernatural being. So the only way you attack him is through our people. And I know they know this because they say it on how the nations treat us. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? They declare war against the Most High. So in order, if they can't attack him, they attack him by attacking us.
Yeah, that's facts. Carl, man, my joint about to die. I got to get up out of here, but man, it was great. I enjoyed it, man. Peace to brother James, brother Mikael. LaRon's off. Peace to him. Thanks for having me, Carl. As always,
Yeah,
it was always good.
Yeah, it was great, because the thing
Shalom.
is, some things that you might not have been able to get out with me asking the questions, hopefully other people's questions was answered.
Yeah, exactly. Carl asked the right questions, man, straight up and down.
Well, I'm not biased.
Yeah, I see you. You ask the hard questions, and those are questions I like. The hard questions that's gonna make me really answer and keep it real.
Yeah, because if it come down to it, me and you got disagreements, we're gonna have to deal with that. But right now we ain't dealing with that. We here dealing with this. Tomorrow we deal with that, or next week, or whenever it comes across the table. That's with any brother. You know what I'm saying? Me and LaRon had a little debate last night. You know what I'm saying? It was just something casual. It wasn't nothing big. But we got a chance to tell the people both our points and fight against those points, respectfully. One no setup, one no this and that. It's just, let's do it so the people can hear, and make our point. So that's what it is. More of us need to be respectful of other people and see what they're doing for the community and respect everybody's position. Like I said, some people got to earn the right to do certain things, but some people done put in the work, and you got to respect the work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So respect the workers in the vineyard. Some people plant, some people water. Some people water, some people plant. But we supposed to be what? One. And that's the problem. If we coming in the spirit of Torah and we going back there, then, hey, let's do that. Let's just go back there and stay for a month or two and see how much y'all really know. I got the time. We could go back there and stay for a month. We could take this all the way up to the so-called pagan New Year. We could go there. If you just want to spend your time in the Old Testament, I love the Old Testament just as much as I love anything else. Let's do it. As people try to
do that. I don't want to do that, bro.
If they was really genuine about what they talking about, they would take me and everybody else that's willing to do it up on it. We get on here or we go on somebody else form. We go on Maccabees TV. You know what I'm saying? Since that's supposed to be the neutral ground, the peace ground where everybody going, and anybody can go there if you're an Israelite, then we could go there, sit down, and have panels like this, and everybody talking, everybody bring their books out. No telling people don't bring no information because we really ain't gonna get down like that. Said, no, bring all your stuff because we finna get it in and spend all day in the Old Testament. we got people that can translate. So we got translators. You know what I'm saying? We got people that speak English. We got the books. We got the text. We could go back there and just stay all day. But people are not genuine enough. They're not going to take the time that they do have, instead of writing that book and doing this and doing that, to sit down with their brothers and come to a real peace conference and get it in. And people get checked on the Talmud and the Kabbalah and stuff, and really get checked on these things. This is what LeBron was talking about. Nah, they need that 5-minute plug to plug their books and plug this and sell some to somebody, and then they gone. Which, you know, Ron said, well, you can talk to any of us brothers, we this and that. I guess if you see them in person, but if you get them on a call or get them on something like that, nah, you can't talk to them brothers. LeBron, James, Mikael, y'all got something? Because really, I could go for another hour. I saw somebody the link, and they told me if I'm on by 7 o'clock, which is an hour from now, where they at, that they'll come on.
Yeah. Man, I'm just looking at some stuff. The brother had went out. I got an echo.
All right, let me mute my mic. It might be me.
I just went to some of the scriptures that the brother had dealt with when he did when Zion Lex was speaking, when he talked about offering the sacrifice of praise. You know, what he talked about in Hosea 14:2. I'm sorry, I'm yawning at the same time. What he talked about at Hosea 14:2. Sometimes I just get to yawning because I get tired of the BS, but for the most part, y'all know what I'm talking about. So he went to Hosea 14:2. He talked about the sacrifice of praise, right? So this is why the sacrifice of praise is so important, because after when you bring your offering to the Lord, matter of fact, let's go to the scripture. It's better read than said. Let's see what it says. It says, O Israel, return unto the Lord thy God, for thou hast fallen by thine iniquity. Once again, Israel has fallen by thine iniquity. Isaiah 53 cannot be pertaining to Israel as being a suffering servant. They are disqualified according to the very verse that Zion Lex actually went to. They have fallen by iniquity. Watch what he says. Take with you words and turn to the Lord, saying to him, take away all iniquity and receive us graciously. So will we render the calves of our lips, basically the offerings of our lips. So this is one of the scriptures that he brought out. What he fails to realize is when you come to the Most High God, after you offer up the praise or the offering of your lips, the sweet incense of your lips, you must take that praise into the most holy place. And when you take that praise into the most holy place, you still have to take blood. Once again, when the brother Guerrilla Hebrew stated earlier, you still have to take that blood into that holy place, behind that veil, the most holies of holies. I think that's something that the brother's missing, and that the brother didn't bring a lot of that information out. Can y'all hear me? Because it's kind of quiet in the back. I don't know if y'all can hear me or not.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, cool. I was just making sure, but go ahead, though. Come on, Carl, Albert.
Yeah, you see me. What I just came up with, people. What I just came up with next month, which is not that far away, is gonna be Old Testament month on Israel Doctrine channel. And for the whole month, I'm gonna be in the Old Testament, not going into the New, and I'm gonna break it down. And anybody that want to come and deal on that platform, I'm even do it late at night. That way I can do my little studies and add stuff up together and do everything. And day by day, that's going to be my commitment to the people. And anybody that wants to come and be a part of it is welcome. We're going to go through the Old Testament. We're going to get subjects and titles, and we're going to deal with Old Testament. Ain't no use of playing and let it go on no longer. Show and prove is what we supposed to be about. What Scarface them said, in the hood, what we only keep it real. People will tell you, man, what are those? Them some busted shoes. Oh man, you a bum or this and that. And they talk truthfully and honest to each other. That's what we're gonna do with this. Next month is Old Testament month. Torah and Tanakh, the Psalms, all of that. And we're gonna deal with subjects and titles. And we just gonna bang it out. And anybody got some opposition or something, or want to come and think that they supreme in it or whatever, you welcome. Anybody's welcome. The panel is how long? How many on the panel on this thing? 10? We can have 9 people a night because I'm here. 9 people a night to join in. That's if you, quote unquote, a Hebrew Israelite or a Bible believer. If you committed or whatever, you can't come. You know what I'm saying? If you deal with the Bible and you're a biblical persuasion or Israelite doctrine persuasion, seeing that you deal with some texts of Israel's, then you're welcome to come. Hit me up on the night that you think the subject and title fits your knowledge, the level you on. And we're going to do it. That's my commitment to the people. Now, who willing to get in there and do this? Because I'm about actions. I'm about doing stuff. And ain't no use of, taking my time and doing it in vain every day. Since it's a Hebrew or Israelite or a Jew war on, and it's over the old and the new, come over there and play on your playground. We're going to take your ball and shoot with it on your court. That's it. Y'all down for that?
I'm with it.
I mean, if I have the time, I most likely join in. You know me, I like joining in with conversations.
What else you got to do?
What else is
it? That's not to be advertised online.
Well, me myself, that's all I got to do. So, like I said, I'm gonna make that my commitment. You know what I'm saying? And go and brush up on some of my Old Testament stuff. I need to do that anyway.
It's always good to dig in that Old Testament.
Well, I'm saying it's so vast that it's so much stuff that you can just miss out on sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Like the New Testament, it's a small volume compared to the Old. The Old, some pretty thick books and chapters in there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I reread them on the regular. As soon as I finish reading, I just start over again.
Well, I might let BibleGateway.com read to me. I'm lazy, remember?
Yeah, we know.
That's what somebody claimed. Some Zion Lex impersonator told me that.
Nah, I don't deal with the arithmetic and the algebra. I just get straight to the text. What's next?
I would have loved for the other brother to make it, but I think he's busy. But we done did it, people. We done had the conversation. The thing is now is to build up to Old Testament month. Dedicate a whole month to nothing but the Old Testament. See, this is what people don't want to deal with. Even those that only deal with the Old Testament, you'll find them dealing with scholarship and different stuff. Talking metaphysics, and as LaRon say, doing some math. 1 + 1 = 2. You know what I'm saying? Instead of dealing with the text, they doing math. Got their fingers and their toes trying to give you the numerical value of the Hebrew letters and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't gonna do the fingers and toes thing. We're gonna deal with the Genesis to Malachi thing. So with that said, I'm gonna say peace, y'all, and hopefully people got some answers to some of their questions, and people got to see why people from this side is so upset with what went down, and that's me and LaRon did to show people compromising themselves and stuff. I mean, you don't compromise when it comes to that. Zion says no compromise. He played like he was gonna compromise, but we see anytime you got brothers sitting over there, you got a gang of books, and they over there and they ain't got nothing. You ain't compromised. You should have just had your Torah and Tanakh with the point system or whatever you need to read it, and just dealt with it from there. And then do like LaRon tried to do with me. Since you know it so good, you don't need the concordance. You just say what the word is, and get the breaking down what it means in Hebrew, seeing you understand Hebrew, and tell the people what it is. Interpret it. That's the methodology that you do. Same thing. I'm limited to the KJV. You limit to the Torah, which whatever point system you got in there so you can read it. And let's go. If you got what's that little book? It say the scriptures or whatever. If you got that or whatever, and let's do it. Brothers don't want to do that. Like I said, they cowards. And you know how you prove somebody a coward? You just call them out and say, really, we gonna be on neutral ground. And when I say that, I'm a man of my word. I ain't finna jump you. Like I said, all I need is the book and the understanding in which I done gained from the book, and it's over with. It's a wrap. So it ain't the boast. The word of God is just that. What's that scripture? Divide. You read it last night. Divide the son of what in that? Well, go get that scripture, LaRon.
I forgot where it was at.
Oh man, I tell you, take notes, man. You one of the most forgetful.
It's raining where I'm at.
I feel you, but I'm just saying,
And I'm driving.
Yeah, you always forget. That don't stop your brain from working.
Hey, his brain don't work while he drives, man.
All right, y'all. Let's let his brain rest. With that said, I'm gonna say peace, y'all. Hopefully, y'all have a good time here.